Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana Weather. Thanks for logging on here to my latest forecast update. We've got some snow out here to our west. That isn't going to stay. That isn't going to come towards us, but it is a good thing Iowa is caucusing tonight because this really is all going to head up through here and make a pretty hefty swath of snow. But for us, a deepening low pressure system moves our way, and that's actually going to bring the chance of severe weather with a bullseye sort of right over our area. In fact, because of that, Storm Prediction Center has already issued a slight risk of severe weather area wide. Notice, though, that enhanced risk of severe weather does include the counties here along the Ohio River. I do think that it's a very strong possibility that this needs to be enhanced. Enhanced risk maybe needs to go a little bit more north like that tomorrow to include most of southwest Indiana. I'm not sure how much of an enhanced risk really needs to be to the to our east here of Louisville. I really think this area in here is going to be under the gun for the strongest risks tomorrow. Let me show you that in the data. First off, a wind advisory has been issued over a good chunk of the area from all of the National Weather Service, Paducah, and Louisville counties. Indianapolis has not chimed in on a wind advisory yet. It's possible they still might, but it's going to be a windy day regardless. Either way, winds on the order of 20 to 25 miles per hour, sustained winds during the daytime. They could be gusting as high as 40. So even before we get some thunderstorms roll through here, it's going to be a very, very windy day. Now, temperatures, by the way, also going to be very warm. In fact, high temperatures tomorrow, mid to upper 60s across much of the area, according to this. Really going to be depending on how far this warm front moves through. There will be a warm front lift through tomorrow, and where that warm front sort of stalls out, it depends on how much warmth you get. But the data has come in. Well, we've overshot the data in our temperatures all weekend long here. So 66 tomorrow here in Evansville, 68 in the Louisville area. That well easily could be closer to 70 over in the Louisville area and even in the Evansville area. I think 70 is obtainable tomorrow if we can get enough sunshine out there. I do think there will be a mix of sun and clouds. I don't think it's going to be a gloomy, cloudy day all day long. I do think there's going to be some cap in the atmosphere, enough sort of putting a lid on things that we don't get much storms firing on during the afternoon hours until that cap erodes away, and I think that will allow for some sunshine to be able to break out. I don't think it's going to be a completely crystal clear day, but I think it's going to be a good, healthy mix of sun and clouds with the temperatures. Now, wind energy, of course, is plenteous around here. If we take a look at winds up in the mid levels of the atmosphere, a wind's absolutely screaming right over us, 80, 90 knots plus around the area. If you go down to only about 4,000 feet into the atmosphere, you've still got 60 to 70 knot winds in a low-level jet right over us. So those winds are really going to be cranking out there tomorrow, and it's not going to take much energy to be able to tap into those winds at the upper levels and bring them down. And of course, that's the real problem tomorrow. Let's talk about what the threats are. One of the things that we look at is the Energy Helicity Index. This indicates some spin in the atmosphere and how strong tornadoes are likely. Tornadoes threat zeroed in right here as far as we are concerned for Indiana in the southwest corner of the state here. Now, this does not mean that tornadoes are going to be a guarantee. This is just simply saying that's where the strongest possibility would be in Indiana with them. This is where the strongest indication would be. And of course, if you look at some others, the supercell composite parameter as well, how likely the mode is to be supercells rather than a linear mode. Again, supercell mode looking fairly likely for this section of Indiana. Significant tornado parameter, not the most impressive we've ever seen, only on the order of 1 to a little bit under 2. That's not impressive, but that is strong for this time of the year, considering it's the dead of winter, again zeroed in over us. So that's concerning for the southwest corner of the state by far. Now, here's the other reason. We go up until we look at our sounding here, and we look up. There's several things that we could point out on this map. One here is the hodograph, and well, on the hodograph you can see change in wind directions as you go up into the atmosphere. You can see it kind of changing like this. You look over here, you're kind of at a southeast slanting here, but you're kind of going to a southwest slanting the further you get up, and of course you just get stronger in speed the further you go up as well. So that change in wind direction and speed, directional shear and speed shear, certainly could be conducive to the development of tornadoes. I had said a couple of days ago that I felt like it would probably be one of these situations where we would have a more of a linear kind of mode with this, and the reason why is because typically in the winter that's what we end up get with these low CAPE type of environments, low instability kind of days. CAPE, convective available potential energy. If we just sort of look at that, the modeling is indicating though the possibility of some more CAPE than what we necessarily could have seen. In fact, most unstable CAPE here are almost 700 here units there, even at the surface, just shy of a couple hundred units. Well, that's fairly modest instability overall, but that's pretty strong instability considering this is February 2nd tomorrow. So that's certainly enough. The probable hazard type warning here, according to this sounding, would be a tornado watch, and I think that certainly could be possible for southwest Indiana. I do think this is one of those things that we're going to have to keep an eye out strongly on. Now, let's time it out on future radar to give you an idea of why I'm saying that. I don't think the tornado threat will last all night, and I don't think it's going to be a massive threat, but I do think the threat will be there. Again, primarily, I think it's going to be a damaging wind threat, but certainly we can't rule out tornadoes. Here's future radar as I put this into motion. There you see the bad day going on in Iowa with the blizzard going on there. Again, good thing the caucuses are happening up there tonight. It wouldn't happen tomorrow. It's Iowa's going to be closed down with a foot of snow in places of it. But here we come tomorrow morning. There's the warm front lifting through the area. As the warm front lifts through the area, you can expect some showers to sort of break out across the area. Then as we continue putting this into motion, out to our west, you notice some storms starting to fire. They've not congealed into a line yet. Here we go by about 4 o'clock, and you got some individual cells breaking out around the area. Not into a line yet. Again, this is in supercell mode. That's exactly what the other modeling I was showing you there indicated, that it looked more of a supercellular kind of threat. That would lend itself to potential tornadoes, and that's one of the concerns that we do have. I think that's why the enhanced risk was issued where it was, and that's also why I think the enhanced risk really should go a little bit further north because of that, if this ends up being right. The next update won't come out until the overnight, so tomorrow morning we'll see exactly what they end up doing. But watch what happens as I put this into motion. Here's about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock tomorrow, 6 o'clock. You see those individual stells start to roll through. It's going to be a late afternoon, early evening thing from the way things look to me right now. And then as you continue on, though, by the time you get east of Louisville, east of I-65, notice that it organizes into more of a line, and you've got a very heavy rain threat going on. Well, what's going on? What you've got happening here is your low-level jet now finally starting to kick in. You don't have the extreme influence of the low-level jet here while it's over southwest Indiana, and so it starts off with just little supercells here all over the place. By the time that moves to the east, though, it starts to interact more with the low-level jet, and it just blows up into a big mess of rain. And so still think you could get some damaging winds with that for those of you over in this area, but the threat is going to be greater here over southwest Indiana and southern Illinois, western Kentucky, based on the data that I am looking and seeing. And of course, that is why, by the way, the enhanced risk of severe weather is in this direction, and the further east you get, the less the risks end up going. And again, I think that this enhanced risk probably needs to go up something more like this rather than the way it's drawn now. I think it really should be something more in that fashion. Again, we'll see what they do. But again, all modes of severe weather possible tomorrow. I don't think that it's going to be a tornado outbreak by any means here for us. I don't think that we're going to be looking at one of these kind of situations where you have March 2nd, 2012 Henryville tornado all over again. I hope I'm right on that. I don't want that over again. Don't think we're looking at those long-lived, horrible kinds of tornadoes. Some brief spin-ups, though, I do think will be possible. More likely, though, that we get some severe thunderstorms and some wind damage out of this from that. Hail threat certainly can't be ruled out, but it's going to be lower of the threat with it. Now, if we do end up getting more supercells than a line, then the threat for some large hail could end up being there, so it's certainly something that we can't rule out. Not the primary threat, though, at this point. So that's where we stand at right now, folks. Behind this, there is some indications that we get a pretty sharp cool down around the 10th of the month. I don't have that data pulled up for you, but it looks short-lived for us at this point. We'll cover that in a future video, one day at a time here, though, folks. It does look like severe weather looking likely tomorrow. I'll have another one of those videos here for you in the morning. But just keep it tuned right here to Southern Indiana weather for the latest. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great night, folks. Have your severe weather plans in place just in case anything bad would happen tomorrow, and keep it tuned for further updates.